Alright guys, what's up? It's your boy Jimmy James 59, and I want you all to do me a favor, and also in the process, do yourself a favor. I know that Cynthia wants you to come snuggle on the couch and rewatch Midnight in Paris for the 37th time in a row, but how about you tell her that you need to go take a little restroom break and instead watch this high ELO level game of Age of Empires 2 DE with me, so that way you can learn some very interesting principles about gameplay and watch two of the best players in our game show you how it's done. Now, this is a really cool game. We were watching it on my Twitch stream. Shout out to that if you want to check out a link to that in the description below. And we just thought this game was so cool, and I felt like, wow, I really have to go back, rewatch the whole thing, and cast it. So that's what we're doing here, and so I want to get into the cast right now. We have our player in teal is Dracken, right? He is a member of Clown Legion and is one of the best arena players that we have in the game. And then we have, I believe it's Falco. I'll say Falco just because it's easier for me to say. And or F47 I kind of like, but you know, the 4 is A and 7 I think is supposed to be L. So even though I like F47, but I'm kind of a numbers guy. All that being said, he is our purple player and he's playing as the Spanish, right? So really interesting matchup. The match is 4 lakes, and well, let's take a look at the map. For our player in the purple, it is an interesting base here. In fact, I'm going to expand it out just a bit more so we can get a sense of how to wall it up. Some forward golds right here. We have a forward stone in the back berries. All in all, it's not such a bad map, I think. And if we take a look at our player in teal, again, we see some forward resources. Forward main gold, stone, berries in the back. I will say I like this main gold for Dracken a lot more than the main gold for our player in the purple, because yes, even though it's forward, this can easily be walled up if we zoom out. I like the walling potential for Dracken's map. Now, for our player in the purple here, this could be walled up, but that gold can be easily ranged. And if you wall up here, this gold can be pretty easily ranged. It is a little bit further back, but so maybe if you build the walls out a bit here, or maybe you could take this area as well. I think it's a little bit trickier to wall, but all in all, this gold is a little bit too close for my comfort, so you're gonna have to make sure you wall out pretty significantly. Now, 4 lakes, right, is a map that seems like it makes its way into the map pool pretty frequently. We have these pawns in the corners, and you can see the meta in 4 lakes is typically to put down docks, make fishing ships, because the reason you want to do that is because the fishing ships collect food at a much faster rate than, say, farmers, and they're a really good source of food income for that reason. And the problem is that if you ignore the lake and your opponent is actually using it, they're liable to beat you in terms of food income, and that means they might hit the next age faster than you. If you are trying to go for a food unit and so are they're going to be able to get more units out in the field. So you're in a position where in almost every situation, you really need to go for the pawns here in 4 lakes. Now, we have both of our players are really set up well in the western and eastern pawns. It'll be interesting to see in the north and the south what the players go for, who's able to take more of that area. Now, taking a look, right, we see that Dracken has quite a few on wood now, and he is already clicked up, and it looks like he is on 1 lumber camp here, so far at least. And we see our player in the purple is already starting to wall up and has researched loom and looks to be on the way to the castle age as well. And so we're seeing the walls come down. So it looks like our opening for our player in the purple is going to be a bit more defensive here. And now we see another lumber camp come down. A lot on wood for Dracken. We have 19 villagers on wood. This is actually not, excuse me, not 19 on wood. We have 13 on wood, sorry. 13 on wood. When going for water builds, this is actually not that abnormal to see, right? If you're going to play for water and say like Team Islands, it's pretty standard to have something like 13 to 14 on wood. Now we have for our purple player here, only 10 on wood, so a bit more standard. Very interesting, right? Let's see if that signals something. Now we are seeing what looks to be a scout opening from our Sicilians player. Thinking about the bonuses that Sicilians have with this, your eco with the Sicilians is really set up more for farms, because once you research Horsecaller, your farms have double the food than they would normally get from that. So your farms just don't really seem to expire with Sicilians. And your scouts will have the bonus of spears doing only half of their bonus damage. So that's very nice as well. I think the issue with that is going to be that our player in the purple is already walled up. So these scouts are not going to get in unless our teal player follows it with something else behind it, some kind of ranged unit that can prevent walling this base. Now we are also seeing 4 on stone, so this is signaling that our Spanish player is probably thinking about going for something like castles. Very common for Spanish to try to get to conquistadors early in the game. That's what you see a lot. And well, what do we have here? Very interesting action here on the front, some nice aggression, and we have a tower with our purple player, right, who sees this wood line. See, this is where the high level players are so smart, seeing that this wood line is very clustered, putting up a tower here, and what he's doing is he is forcing our teal player to make a donjon, right? The Sicilians' unique tower, they lack watchtowers and all that sort of thing. So this is interesting. I think in terms of thinking about what it accomplishes, as when you look at the quick walls, zoom in a little bit, oh my goodness, right? High level stuff here. On the one hand, you can look at this and think, well, putting up this one tower does very little for our player in the teal. On the other hand, right, the other way to think about this is that it has forced our teal player to make a donjon. And donjons are pretty taxing on the stone. You do start off with 100 more stone as Sicilians, so it might not be as taxing as, say, another Civ in terms of the percentages, because I think they're 175 stone, right? So, but what you are doing, right, is you are taking out that stone. You're causing some idle TC work time, right, because these farmers here, they're the ones that are going to be generating wood for the fishing ships that are being made. And we do see our player in teal going to both pawns, and it looks like our purple player is just staying in the one pawn. They're already on the way up to Castle Age. Dracken is actually quite far, and well, it looks like with these 7 villagers on gold, the real question is what kind of castle are we going to see? Dracken, right, is getting the market down, and does he have the other building? Right, let's look and see if we can find a blacksmith. Right, okay, we're going to see an archery range. Well, he's got a stable anyways, so it's no big deal. Right, he does have the buildings, and seeing an archery range. All right, very, very interesting. Right, as Dracken is going to want to get up, he probably has the game sense right now to know that it's pretty likely that our player in purple is up to the next stage. And in fact, let's take a look at what he sees on the map. Right, oh, look at this. Right, does he know? Right, he should be able to click on this stone, I believe, since he has vision on it, and tell that it is being mined. If he can't do that, that might just be a capture thing, but I'm pretty sure that even in the regular game you can do that as well. In the same way that if a tree is being chopped down, and you have seen that, and you might have vision on it. So he might be able to see that, but what do we see? We see coming forward, right? This forward castle, and Dracken is going to have to send his villagers. This is actually a super smart play, right? So let me pause here, right? One of the things I know at a low elo to a mid elo level is we often hate being castle dropped because castles just feel so overwhelming and it puts so much pressure on you. But a lot of times at a mid elo level, we just don't know how to respond, and sometimes you respond in ways that are unintuitive. In this situation, right? Dracken's gonna have more villagers at home. The castle he has vision on the villagers. He knows that there's not a lot of military to support it. So what does he do? Right? He just vill rushes. And guess what? He's gonna have more villagers. And so what do we see because of this? The forward castle actually has to be abandoned, right? Huge play that all just comes from knowing the right mental decision, right? It's keeping your mental state going, knowing the right decision to make in the moment, right? That's where all that comes from. So it's a really, really nice job recognizing what the situation calls for from Dracken, who it looks like he is about to be up to Castle H as well. And yeah, look, there's been some idle eco time from Dracken, but he prevents the castle drop, and now he doesn't have a castle on his face, right? Which is a really, really good thing for him. We do see our Spanish player making conquistadors, and the interesting thing here is to see what is Dracken going to go for. He has a stable and a range, and he's deciding to go for the crossbowman, right? So we're going to see crossbows on the field. I think this is a really, really smart choice as the blacksmith's going to come down, because the thing about knights is that knights will get hit and run by the conquistadors. At least with crossbowmen, you're gonna have some range, right? You're gonna have some range. You have the donjon there, and it looks like our purple player is looking for a way in, and this one crossbow is trying to hold him off these, right? We have a little group of 4 who looks like probably trying to pick off some reinforcements, and oh no, zoom into this. This is not looking good here, right? There's no way this villager is going to be able to keep these conks from getting in. And we have this ranged unit. So they're getting in here, right? They're getting in here, folks. No way that they're going to keep them out. And this is a bit probably too much of an exposed area to try to quick wall, right? But, right, we do have a decent number of archers come in. Bodkinero is about to come in, which means that the crossbowmen should have a pretty nice range advantage on the conquistadors, which have 6 range. So now with Bodkin in, we have +1 armor coming in. These crossbowmen actually should be able to at least stand their ground against the conquistadors. They're not going to be able to fight all that well, as we see a nice micro battle coming in, and our player in the purple just running away with the conquistadors, right? But this area did get defended. Now, if we take a look at purple's base, he is on 2 town centers, so he's going for an economic approach. And meanwhile, Dracken actually looks to be only on 1 town center, but he just acquired the stone, and we should see another town center come forward really quickly. There we go. The town center not come forward, but be put down in the map. We have another town center, and look how fast these town centers are created with the Sicilians. Just 2 villagers are doing that. Holy cow, right? These town centers with the Sicilians, they go up 100% faster, and that's just amazing. And wait a minute. Okay, now this is where things are going to get a little bit difficult, right? So, let's go ahead. Let's pause again. We have a second castle drop attempt. Now, you remember the first one, right? Dracken recognized the situation. He saw that it was only a group of villagers, and he's going to have more villagers to push them back. When Falco comes back the second time, right? He comes back, and he's armed and ready. He's gathered his intelligence. He's seen that Dracken is going for crossbow play. So what has he got here? He's got a Mangala. Right? He's got a mangonel. He's got conquistadors. This really isn't looking like an army that crossbowmen are going to be able to fight. So now, right, our player in the purple trunks is ready. And this is a really nice castle because look at what this castle takes away. A main gold, right? This forward gold here. And gosh, this is most of your wood line if you're Dracken. Almost all of your, right? Almost all of your lumberjacks are clustered in this one spot right here. And now we're having to see almost an entire economy be moved, right? So this is pretty dark stuff here for our player in the teal as these conquistadors come in. A lot of resources being denied. This dungeon will prevent some movement, but take a look at Dracken. Dracken is already on the way up to Imperial Age, right? Very little idle TC time, some idle eco time because he's having to shift villagers around and all that. How is this possible? Well, here's the thing, guys. Remember conquistadors. Yes, they're a cavalry archer class unit. However, they cost food and gold to make. So yeah, even though our player in the purple has been on 2 town centers, he's having to use that food in order to make conchs, right? And yeah, he's got some fishing ships, but he's only on the 1 pond, and he's making farms. Dracken, on the other hand, he has 3 pawns that he's holding, even though some of these fishing ships look like they're going to be in a bit of trouble from these conquistadors. That's scary, right? But he has the other pawns. He's still got 12 fishing ships, even though a few of them are idle. And those fishing ships collecting food faster, that is what is enabling him to get up to the next age so quickly. And not only that, but he's playing a really interesting defense here with these donjons, right? He's got the donjons, and not only that, he's getting more ranges on the field as this mangonel is coming in, and it's going to be really annoying, and, well, that can be pretty hard to stop. These conchs are not quite getting the value here, but again, we see the commitment, right? The counterattack, right? So, Dracken thought he could go around, sneak a counterattack in. What happens? He gets rebuffed because our player in purple has a really nice base defended. And now we have Bracer that's going to come in. Bracer coming in here actually I think is really, really interesting. And let's stop here for a second, right? So we take a look at this game again. Now Dracken's in Imperial Age. He's about to get Bracer. So the question is, think about yourself in this position. What are you going to do at this point, right? Bracer's a nice upgrade. You're 13 villagers behind. You're down in the military count. You have conquistadors, mangonels pummeling your base. You take a look at purple, right? Now Dracken can't know this, but purple already has the stone for another castle. He's been mining the stone. All in all, this is a terrible situation to be in. You'd hate to be in it. Let's see how it plays out. We've seen masterful aggression here for a player in the purple who is playing this donjon defense. Now, I think that having Bracer here for our player in the teal is really important because given that our purple player is in Castle Age with the mangonels, Bracer is going to give you some nice range. You're going to have that 8 range, and that is just very, very smooth. You really like seeing that. And we're going to have a second castle come in for our player in the purple. And well, we have a bunch of ranges here that might get denied as we see some really nifty micro from Dracken. And well, these crossbows, they're not arbalists yet. These crossbows are really holding their ground, and they're getting a lot of villager kills, but these are Spanish villagers. Spanish villagers build castles or just buildings in general like nobody's business with plus 30% more building speed. And guess freaking what? You have your 5 archery ranges that just been denied by 2 castles on your face. Think about how many resources here that Dracken has been taken off of. This gold, this stone, right? This gold is going to be under pressure very shortly. All of these wood lines, he's having to continually back up and doing a very smart thing, sending villagers to the north to go take more gold, right? So Dracken is having to relocate his entire economy. But hey, take a look at what's going on, right? All of a sudden, Dracken, who's kept his idle TC time very, very low, right? He's kept making villagers. All of a sudden, he has the Vill lead. All of a sudden, he has a lead in military as well, right? As we see some really, really nice micro come in. And with Bracer, he has the Mangonel outranged, right? So all of a sudden, just like that, it's over, right? And we see the GG called, because take a look at the resources here, right? Our player in the purple is pretty far from getting to the next age. And yeah, Dracken's had to relocate his economy, but you got to remember, he's in Imperial Age. He's already evened things out with villagers. He's got the military. And again, think about, right? If you're thinking that this is an early GG, right? Think about this. In order for our player in the purple, right, to mount a counter response to this, he's going to, he can't keep investing in conquistadors. They cost too much food. They cost too much gold. He's never going to get to the next age. Now, he can try to play skirmishers, but that means he needs to put down an archery range. That means he needs to research fletching, bodkin arrow, right? He's got to do a lot. Meanwhile, Dracken is very, very much ahead of him, right? So think about where we were just a few minutes ago, where things looked terrible, right? Where Dracken was down in villagers and in military. This forward castle, definitely some villagers were lost, but it's that fish boom, right? Playing crossbows, and again, think about it this way, playing crossbows in Castle Age for Dracken is a wood and gold unit, right? He's got his fish boom going on. He's barely spending anything on food, right? So that's how he's able to get to the next age. This is a game that Dracken just had such a good strategy. And I'll say, shout out to Falco here, right? He had a really, really nicely played strategy as well with Spanish. I mean, we looked at how many resources he denied, but in the end, right, the most important resources for Dracken are probably, right, in these pawns. And these pawns were not messed with basically the whole game. You would have liked to see, maybe going back in retrospect, right? I wonder if maybe if 2 or 3 conquistadors at each of these docks would have been a nice play, so that you can shoot down the fishing ships when they come in and keep them from depositing their food. That would have been really interesting. But we didn't see that in this game, and despite what was the kind of aggression that most players, my elo, and even people who are better than my elo in many cases by a few hundred points, would have crumbled under, we see Dracken playing it very cool, keeping the villagers going, keeping calm, and battling back for the win. So GG to both players, and I hope you enjoyed this video and really got something out of it. If you did, go ahead, smash that like button, and if you want to check out more videos on the channel, such as tier list and build orders, Jimmy's got you covered here. Let's spread this game around YouTube and keep it going for another couple decades, folks. With that, I'll check you out later. Peace.